Hey, welcome to the third section of this tutorial on how to create an accounting system in MS Excel. Already in our previous video, we saw how to create a ledger. We stopped at the level of the ledger. We also saw how to create the opening balance. So in this tutorial, we will remedy to the fact that in this ledger account, we cannot have detailed transactions, detailed summarized transaction of every single account. So we are just going to create another ledger account which will just help us to interrogate individually an account from the journal. Already before we continue, in the previous video we talked about the accounting entries, and we made an accounting entry here in the month of March for salaries, no taxes paid, and there was an error there. It shouldn't have been the account number for state taxes and rates 442, but it was supposed to be an expense account. That is why the level of the ledger we had this negative somewhere there. So we will come here and we will make sure that we use the account number for salaries, for taxes. For taxes in the chart of account, I think it's there for 641. We're going to use the account for taxes 641. Good. So that it should be direct taxes and rates, and in that way we are very sure that when we come to the ledger, everything is okay. Total debit equals total credit, and here we have the account here 5 million as an expense account. So now we are going to create another worksheet. We are going to call it a ledger account, or let me call it detailed ledger account, so that we can be able to interrogate every single account in here. So what will I need? We are going to make a little bit of technical things so that it can actually work. So what do we need? We need something that will permit us to get the different accounts each time it was repeated. Like if 601 was repeated somewhere else, we need all of them at the level of the digital ledger account. Already we could at the level of the journal, we could put some different dates there. If the transactions were actually in different dates, we could put it there. But we need it in such a way that the date should appear, and the day the transaction was recorded should appear, the account number on that day should appear, and the different debits should appear, different credits should appear, and the balances should also appear. So I'll get them. What will I need? I will need a column for the date. I will equally need a column for the account. No, I think I will need, as first information I will need there will be the number, the transaction number. The transaction number, let me just say transaction number. Let me put it this way, transaction number. I will need the date. If there is the date, I'll need the account number. Account number. I will equally need the description, the account description, or let me say the account name. I'll equally need the comment. If there was a comment that was made on that transaction on that day, okay, and I'll then need the amount debited and the credit. So that it should detail every account. So I'm just going to give I'm just going to copy this so that I should not type it again. So I'm going to put it here, detailed ledger. Let me say detailed ledger for account. I'm going to merge these cells if I want it to all be in one cell. I'm going to merge them all, and here I'll have now the possibility to select the account I want to interrogate, so that here I have the possibility to put the account I am interrogating, so that the details of that account should then appear down here. So I will make a drop down list so I can select the account in question. So for me to put the drop down list, I'll come to data validation, and from here I will select list, then the source. With F3 I'm going to call for the source. The source is account number, because we earlier created a database for account number in our first video, so you can just check on that. And for me to call this this name, I use F3 on my keyboard. So I double click on it and I take OK. So henceforth now I have the possibility to select an account number. So the purpose here, I can put this in a table if I want. I can put this in a table. So I will take here insert table, and I can make in such a way that this table should have might be up to 50, like just to improvise that an account can have up to 50 transactions at the level of the journal. So I'm just going to say my table has headers and say okay. I'm going to remove the colors naturally, or maybe put something like this if I want. I'm going to remove borders. I'm going to remove red lines. Good. So this is then going to be interrogating the different accounts. So I'll increase the size of these columns. Good. So here I'll just make in such a way that there are numbers here. So number 1, number 2. So here I'm going to centralize it like this. Okay. So this will represent the transaction number. Okay, there will be 46. I can increase the table to go further. I can stand here, increase the table to go further. Okay, so that from here we can continue. Maybe, yeah, I think this is fine. So here I am going to look for the date in question, the date of the transaction at the level of the journal. So before this actually works, I need to come at the level of the journal, and here I will want to know the number of time an account is appearing or an account is being used. It is the number of time an account is being used that will be used to get the detailed ledger of every account. So what do I mean by that? If 601 appeared one time, I just want to know the number of times it appeared, because if I don't know the number of times the account actually appeared, the transactions list will not show the number of time, because we want to summarize it up in here. As a result, I'll come in the journal. In this column, I'm just going to call this count column. So it will just help us, this column will just help us to identify the transaction number. Like, yeah, this is a transaction number 1 of 571, this transaction number 2, this is a transaction number 3. So I want to get it automatically in here. So I will say equals to this account. So this account and count if the very same account. No, I'm going to use the account reference, which is C5. C5 represents, let me just do it here so that it should be less stressful. I'm going to do it directly in the formula bar so that we can be seeing what is going on here. So I'll stand here, I will say equals to C5, because the account number here is C5, equals to C5, and like I'll use the and to combine, and count if, I'll count if this cell, or let me say C5 instead, because here it's in a table, is going to disturb. I will say C5. So C5 not using this, so C5 count if, and then the criteria is it should count if it sees C5, it sees what is in C5. So that's the function I'm going to use. But before I go ahead, I'm going to block this C5, the first one, only the first one, so that as we're going ahead, it should always start from the top going downward. So it should take 601. If we want to check on it, it should take 601 and count the transaction number of 601. It should get to 401 and count the transaction number of 401. That is what I actually want to do. So when I take the tab key, so you will see that this 601, it has added 1 to say that this is the first time. If you get, for example, to an account like 571, you see that here is 1. Then 571 appearing for the second time, it will show 2. 571 appearing for the third time here, it will show 3 at the end. 571 appearing for the fourth time, it will show 4. That is actually what I want to do. I want to get chronologically the transaction, the transaction number this account is being used, like how many times this account has been used. So when I have it, I get back to my detailed account ledger. These numbers will represent the transaction numbers. It means that this will be transaction number 1 of that account, transaction number 2 of that account, transaction number 3 of that account. As a result, what I would just need to do, it will be to come here. Let me just put a color here. It will be to come here and select the account number. When I select the account number, I come here and I will need to, for example, the date. So I can start with the date. I'm going to say equals to VLOOKUP to the account number and the transaction number. The account number and the transaction number. Sorry, this is not and the transaction number. Okay. If this account has appeared this number of time, the table array will be all the table for the journal, all this table. The column index number, what I need there is the date. The date is in column number 1, 2, so I put 2, and the type of match, I want an exact match, so I put 0 and I close bracket. So before that, I'm going to make in such a way that J1 should be fixed, so that it should always stay at J1, so that as I autofill downward, it should not be moving from J1 to J2 and so on. So when I take the tab key or the enter key, so it will do this. But you can see it's showing error messages just because it is not seeing the transaction or the account. So I'll use the if error function. I'll use the if error function. If there is an error, it should do nothing. Then I do it this way. So here there is no date actually, and this transaction or this account number has not appeared at the level of the journal. If I try, for example, an account like 701, you will see it will show 2 zeros to say that okay, account 701 is appearing twice, just that it doesn't have date in those 2 times. So I'll just copy this function the way it is, just copy it. So with Control plus C, I copy it. I will come here, I will say equals to paste it. But yeah, I need in this case the account number. The account number will be located in column number, I think it's number 3. Let me just check. In the journal, account numbers are located in 1, 2, 3. Okay, in column number 3. So I will come here. I'll be talking about column number 3. You can see the account number will appear here because it is in 701 and 1, 701 and 2. Okay, so I will do same equals to paste the same function. The account name is in column 4. The column is in which column? The comment is in which column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In column 7. So I get here. It will be in column 7, but surely there will be no comment. Okay, I have to put the equals to sign first. Equals to, and there the debited amount, I'll put the debit is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 and 6. So here will be equals to year 5, and the year equals to year 6. So from there, you will see that it will automatically call for the different transactions. If I look for account 571, you will see 571 has appeared this number of times, and you can see the different dates will be appearing. If there was any comment, the comment will be appearing, and so on. So in this case, you can see detailed transactions of every account that you must have used. Like this one, this is the only time it appeared. This one has never. Okay, this one has appeared once. Yeah, and so on and so forth. So just by the side here, I can decide to add something that will permit me to know the account balance. So I could do it that way, but already the account balances of every account will already be available at the level of our ledger, because the ledger is going to summarize all the transaction. Meaning, if I'm talking, for example, about account 311, in the ledger here, it is going to summarize all the debits and all the credit amounts. But here, it is going to detail all the transaction of 311, like how many times it appeared, how was it debited, how was it credited. It is just a kind of summary of whatsoever has happened at the level of the journal itself. So that is it about the second video, which is actually detailing the ledger account the way we want it to be. In our subsequent video, we are going to see how to then make the trial balance, and from the trial balance we will move to the income statement. Thank you for watching. Follow the previous video before you follow this video, and get to you in the next tutorial.